I'm rebuilding a team with no future until we win their first real championship, but I've decided to make it a lot more challenging. Up to 30 players can transfer a year, player progression is set to auto, not manual. I can only hop into 3 games this season to help win, it'll be on the hardest difficulty when we do. And I'm restricted to just recruiting in Oklahoma and Texas to keep our recruiting regional. That's what I'll be up against with Oklahoma State, and I'm doing this because Mike Gundy just got fired. He has been coaching there since I was 2 years old, and he had such a great run. The game basically tracks almost every season that he was with the Cowboys, and as you can see, he very rarely had a losing season up until recently. They actually fired him after they started just 1-2. Now, they did get blown out like 69-3 by Oregon in real life, and losing to in-state opponent Tulsa is embarrassing. But I think Mike Gundy kind of already had an idea that he was going to be done. If we look at certain position groups like cornerback, every single player on this roster is a senior, so we have to redo this entire cornerback room besides one player. With 30 players that can transfer out as well, there's just not much of a future here. But I've already decided we will immediately be moving away from freshman Zane Flores at quarterback and starting with the 91 speed star development Haas Henji. I think that's how you say his last name at least. He has accuracy skill caps that are very limited. He could get even faster. The only problem is he cares about brand exposure. I don't know how long he'll be with the program, but we're going to give him his chance to start against Baylor, which is actually going to be a very important game for us. See, as I've been building up this recruiting board of players from Oklahoma and Texas, basically all of the 4 stars are from Texas because Oklahoma didn't have any that were interested in us, we were able to get some players on a visit this week. One of those being 86 speed gym tight end James Fabroni. As you can see, the Bears are going to be coming to town. It's our only chance of winning this battle. The same thing is true for Ben DeCastro. He's a quarterback, and he isn't going to be good immediately, but if he sat for a year or 2, he could be. We basically just already have 4 4-star guys coming to town for this game, and it could get us off to a great start with Oklahoma State. A big benefit of using the Cowboys as well is we get some sick jerseys to use throughout this entire video. Haas Henji's already getting off to a start where he's not really looking to scramble. He's been completing passes. What I'd love to hit Baylor with, though, is an RPO, which is going to get us to the 1. From here, I think you know how we're going to score our first touchdown. It's the whole reason to have someone that's quick. But again, he's going to want to transfer extremely soon. I'm hoping we can keep him for more than a season. You'll also see behind the end zone, they mention all of these accolades that have happened at Oklahoma State. Even a national championship that was only done by 1 poll, which is why I'm saying we're going to get them a real one in this video, which I think is going to take a while unless we can have a really good first season. Ideally, even though Mike Gundy was fired, we don't have up to 30 players transfer out at the end of this season. And here we go. This is a huge 3rd and 6. Hopefully, we can stop the Bears. They had somebody wide open, though, on the 2-point conversion. This is another important play. We just give it up. So what we have to do is drive down the field and get a big drive going for the Cowboys. Haas Henji misses that throw, though. We probably shouldn't have forced it there. We definitely had easier passes to make. We're going to make this a 4th and manageable. Originally, I wanted to hand this ball off. Maybe we still should. I just feel like we're going to be running into so many players. So we're going to set up for a run to the outside. This is either going for a touchdown or we're not picking it up. There's a flag. And why did we not just snap the ball? Not a good look for Oklahoma State. Well, we're definitely not going to be running it now. I was hoping our drag would get open. We're going to set our feet and we find a receiver. That is the power of having Haas Henji. He makes himself very hard to stop. On 3rd and 10, we're going to look for our tight end. If it's not there, we're going to take our slant. It's another 4th down. And we'll see what the Cowboys give us. I want to trust our tight end, who catches it. He breaks a tackle. He would have been tackled behind the marker if he wasn't. We just got so lucky, and the RPO is going to set us up for 6. I think we go for the touchdown. I don't think we go for just kicking a field goal and going to overtime. Freddie Brock IV has also rushed for over 137 yards in this game. Last time we saw numbers like this, Ollie Gordon was here. We're going to hit our delayed route, and he goes down at the 1. What we have done is we have taken it down to 6 seconds left. We have called our first timeout. And I've come out ready to do a quarterback sneak. I can't believe this is the look that Baylor gave us. Are we going to complain, though? No, we are not, because 4 4-stars just watched us pick up this win. It's going to be great for bonuses. And there it is. In a new era outside of Mike Gundy, for the first time in multiple decades, Kashawn Stokes is the first player to commit. You can see how many players already have their foot out the door, though. 18 guys alone want to transfer due to playing style. You add on all these others, we're going to lose 30 transfers. And then on top of them leaving, we have another 26 seniors that are going to graduate. That is why it was so important for us to get the bonuses that we did did on these offensive players because in the future, they could end up becoming big pieces for us. James Fabroni might commit next week. But then there are other battles where I think we just got to understand we're not going to come out on top. Alabama is gaining very quickly on this athlete, so we're just going to remove him from our board. I'd honestly rather schedule more guys for a visit that we can. It seems like Oklahoma's about to pull away here. And a problem that's going to come up that I normally use to our advantage in a lot of these rebuilds is whenever we can only recruit out of Oklahoma and Texas, the transfer portal and finding prospects that aren't being targeted by other schools becomes a lot harder. Ideally, though, we can keep on winning throughout this season and not lose as many players to the portal so we don't have to rebuild as much. Well, it turns out we couldn't even beat Arizona. They're not supposed to be that good, so this is disappointing. But we have a couple other visit weeks set up, one of them against Houston, so those might just be the games that I hop into this season. There's no guarantee that we come out on top whenever I play these, but I like to have control over what happens whenever we have a lot of prospects coming to town. If we lose, I'd much rather it be my fault than in the hands of Sim. And that's what it's seeming like this result is going to be. Currently, we're trying to get into the end zone here. It's going to be 3rd and goal. And I'm considering this 4-down territory. We got man-to-man coverage on our running back. What a throw from Haas Hengi. Not having our starting left guard or Frederick Brock IV due to dislocated shoulders for this game has been a bit of a challenge. Our offense is already not great. It's definitely made it worse, though we're in a position where on 3rd and 8, we can knock that out. We've gotten the ball back with an opportunity to run out the clock. We're going to keep it. No one picks up their block. But I'm hoping our offensive line can do that on 3rd and 1, which is what they have done. In an effort to try and get us off of the field, the Cougars have been using their timeouts, but one more first down would seal it. We just hurdled straight over number 6, and we're still on our feet. You know, that play from backup Trent Howland made me realize maybe we should be using him more often in the future. He filled in pretty nicely, but then I realized he's already a senior. 247 pounds, by the way, moving like that. Just absolute madness. We get 5-star edge Nick Song to commit from Texas, but this is where you're going to see a lot of battles I think we've lost. As excited as I should be, Kansas State just jumped in front on James Fabroni, the guy I wanted at tight end. For quarterback Ben DeCastro, he still has not chose our school. And you can see us falling behind on certain prospects. Oklahoma gets the athlete, Arkansas gets this right guard. All of this happening in a class where we need to fill it up with 35 players for sure. And what I've just realized is there are no cornerbacks available, even 2-star corners available for us to get. So we're going to have to start going after free safeties and moving them over there. That's a major problem for us. The last week that we had players on a visit for was against the Bearcats, which means we might as well hop into this one too. After that, we are going to have to simulate the rest of the season though, where anything could happen. Well, Cincinnati came to play against us. We're down by 21 with a minute left. I'm going to try and make a miracle happen here. We're just hit into an interception. This is going to be the downfall that continues with Oklahoma State football. For what was a visit week for 4 players, this is not an ideal result. I guess that performance didn't stop Ben DeCastro from wanting to be a part of the Cowboys, but that could literally be the last win we have this entire season. We're about to have to go on the road to rivals number 7 Texas Tech. I wish I could sit here and tell you that there was so much winning going on, but there's just not. James Fabroni decided on Kansas State, so we're going to have to play him basically every season now. Joey Ortez locked us out. He preferred Houston and Oklahoma, I think. Texas took away this right guard. We already know Arkansas took this kid away. And then Oklahoma has entered the battle late to get this offensive lineman from us. I mean, for most of these 3 stars, we seem to be pretty safe. We need to be safe on the free safety because if we can't get ourselves some corners, we're going to have a problem. Well, we finished 4-8 in the regular season, so there are 32 players that have a chance to transfer out. We should have never maxed out how many players could transfer every year. This is not good. After Cincinnati blew us out, Texas Tech did as well. We beat Kansas, but that was the last team that we were able to take down, and they still finished at number 18. It is never ideal, though, to be sitting near the bottom of the Big 12. I guess our season could have gone as bad as it did for BYU. And you might be wondering, what is my plan for our coach? Well, the first thing I want to do is we're going to be a recruiter, and we're going to make sure that we have a better chance at getting defensive back transfers because we're going to need all the help that we can get. But what I'd ideally like to do is get a little bit into tactician and then go down this strategist pathway where if you get to tier 3, then the players will have a lower deal breaker threshold, causing them to not transfer as often. That's kind of my goal. I don't really care for either of these architects that are currently on our staff, so we're just going to fire them. And for their replacements, I'm looking for the exact coach build that I just described. Chris Creighton fits that mold, so we're going to try and hire him, which is something that we were able to pull off. I'm excited for that. I found a defensive coordinator, though. Is he going to be hired as well? It's Rutgers head coach. Greg is with us now. To me, these 2 hires are going to be a really big deal. Currently, OC has nothing in the strategist tier that's going to prevent players from transferring out this year, but Chris Creighton could get better at that in the future. For Greg Schiano, It's the same thing. He's not reached lower the bar yet. But in the future, I'm hoping that they do. And somehow, Cade Klubnik won the Heisman and Clemson won the national championship. The season's not looking that way in real life. We're about to find out if we're really going to lose our entire future. And the worst part about it is the persuasion chance. For all these players, basically, there's no chance at even convincing them to come back. With our 2 persuasions, we already failed the first one on a 66 overall. We can't get a 71 overall either. Then we have to sit here and scroll through the another like 30 seniors that are graduating. We just had our whole roster practically eviscerated and not a single player was drafted. If I look at our team needs, you can't count up seniors right now. We currently have 37 players on the team. That is why it's crucial we sign a class of 35 players so we can fill up a lot of those missing holes. Ben DeCastro, just as impact development. I want to see elite somewhere. Nick Song, the 5-star edge, is normal dev. So funny enough, Christian Dauman, this 3-star edge, might end up being better than the 5-star because he's got star development. Oklahoma stole this tight end from us. You also know they stole the right tackle. So those were the only 3 stars we didn't win out on. But if we look past just the high school recruits, we still have 14 spots on our roster to get guys in the transfer portal. For players that are located in the state of Oklahoma, there's a few that we can go after. Texas is going to be much bigger for us though, and I also feel like we should be able to recruit transfers if they played for a team in the states of Oklahoma and Texas. It's a good thing I realized as well that those players that we were targeting were just guys that were interested in our school off the rip. There's still some other 3-star transfers we can get from those states without it. That includes multiple cornerbacks that we know we desperately needed, so we're just going to advance a few weeks, see where we sit in some of these battles. Michael Hawkins Jr. at quarterback could be a huge pull, where I highly doubt that Haas Henji is going to be very happy that we're already looking past him, but we know that we're not going to be able to retain him for very long the second that we get his accuracy up. If you were wondering how he performed this season, 55% completion, 16 touchdowns to 16 picks, a 1-to-1 ratio, it's just not good. Freddie Brock the 4th rush for almost 1,000 yards, and on the receiving end, the most we had was 654 yards. What I did in week 2 was I used visits on the 4-star prospects on our board. It worked out for Robert Fitzgerald. We got his hard sell correctly. We've jumped up to number 1, where we're in a good spot. Then for Ricky Hunt Jr., his hard sell was incorrect, but the visit means we stay in first place. Michael Hawkins Jr., though, I decided to use the sway just so we could have the best hard sell possible. And that ended up making all of the difference as the future of our program has committed. He's only going to have impact development and I think be with us for 2 seasons, but he used to be at Oklahoma. We're going to be playing the Bedlam in this rebuild. I do not care if they've canceled it in real life. We also got basically every transfer portal player besides Caden Cook. The freshman chose Air Force. But I don't really care because we were able to sign the 14th best class in the country. We still got that 5-star even if his dev trait is awful. And it is the best class in the Big Ten, even though we only recruited out of Oklahoma and Texas. Just to verify that, I can scroll through all of these players and you'll see we're building out of 2 states, trying to build a contender out of them. At least for the time being, I think we were able to patch up some of the holes on this roster. Now, I've recruited Connor Westbrook to be a tight end for us, but it looks like he could be a better edge rusher. It's tempting to move him over there. We might in the future if we didn't get so many other athletes that were also on our defensive line that are going to play there. As for our player progression, which I have no control over, which means we can't just upgrade players 10, 15 overalls if we know there's certain things that we can progress them in. It will make this rebuild harder. You'll see our best players in 86 overall were a little bit more balanced. I'd say this team's similar to last year's. Michael Hawkins Jr. actually didn't improve that much compared to Haas Henji, so we might have to consider which of these 2 quarterbacks we stick with. It's just his deal breaker is so much better. He's just as fast. They both have the shifty ability. He actually has magician as well. His accuracy can't get that great, but he could get even quicker, so for now, we're going to lean on Michael Hawkins Jr. Unfortunately, whenever there's overall jumps, though, you're going to have some players that were previously not interested in transferring now that want to transfer out. That's going to be true for a lot of the transfers we actually brought in. They care about brand exposure, and ours just isn't great enough. We patched up our cornerback issue, though. Gentry Williams was an incredible transfer. He has 99 speed. Only problem, he's only here for a season. And if we want to retain guys on this team, we've got to unlock strategist. The issue, we have to win 4 bowl games before that's possible. We have 78 skill points to spend. We might as well spend our 50 in tactician. I think what we're really going to appreciate with Michael Hawkins Jr. is just boosting up all of these stats, including his throwing accuracy. We can go down this pathway farther if we need to, but for now, I just want to save up coach points, for when we inevitably get strategist unlocked. As for our team needs, we currently have 71 players on the roster, only 12 seniors, but again, if players transfer out, we're probably going to have to replace everyone. We're shooting for a full class of 35 guys, especially with more corners. Just if we're going to get them on board in the first place, we have to go after them early. Everyone from Oklahoma has already locked us out at that position, though there are a couple from Texas that are not. Even better news for us, a couple of them ended up being gyms, so hopefully we'll be able to secure their commitment. We have some more defensive gyms near the top of our board. Another 5-star edge from Texas we're going to try and land. Outside of that, though, not too many prospects I'm super excited about. Steven Curl's an elusive bruiser with 88 speed, but if he doesn't have a good dev trait, he'll never become that great. Rashad Winton, a receiver with only 87 speed. Those aren't numbers that really stick out to me. But do you know what we need to make sure happens? That Oklahoma State doesn't lose to Tulsa again. But before we hop into that game, a word from today's video sponsor, Rivalry. Finding out about them has changed how I game, which might sound crazy. They're a clothing brand, but their Ponto joggers are the reason I wear pants while filming now. They are that comfy, but it makes sense why. Rivalry is all about designing clothes for movement that are built for life, and obviously, the joggers have been my favorite piece. But their Stratotech tee is soft, lightweight, and perfect for lounging around while watching football or hitting the gym. When you pair that with the joggers that are built with the same qualities, seriously, they are so soft. It makes for the perfect outfit for gaming. And you'll also see me in this hoodie in some of my other videos, the Seaside pullover one. The heavyweight feel on it makes it very cozy, but these are just a few options that Rivalry has to offer. Like I said, they design clothes for movement that are built for life, and I'd recommend either using the first link in the description or the QR code to shop on Rivalry's online site. Just see if there's anything that you like on there, since it's so comfy. Now that you've done that though, we can get back to the video. It might not seem like a smart game for us to hop into when we can only play 3 a season, but that would just ruin this program if we lost again. Especially since it's the whole reason for this rebuild in the first place. Michael Hawkins Jr., by the way, gonna take off on this 3rd and 3 as he rushes to the 4. We actually have 3 years with him, assuming he never transfers, which is exciting. Ultimately, he's led us to this win over the Golden Hurricanes, scoring 30 points, though our defense has also played a role in it, only giving up 13. With 30 seconds left, Tulsa didn't even want to try to come back. I can't blame them. I was hoping for a return. We couldn't get that going, though. We win the Turnpike Classic and start the season 1-0. To follow that one up, we should be taking down an FCS school. And not only did we do that, but Marion Peterson rushed for 150 yards, winning Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. One thing you might notice, though, as we look at our schedule this season, is there's no Bedlam series against Oklahoma on here. I forgot to put it, so it won't be returning until next year, but number 6 Auburn is another tough SEC opponent that we're gonna have to face. I'm not looking forward to that at all. Checking in on recruiting, we're running away with some of those cornerbacks. For the 5-star edge, did we guess his hard sell correctly? We did, but Baylor is gaining, so we're going to have to get him on a visit with some points that we don't have. Hopefully, Steven Curl doesn't notice that for a week, we're just going to stop recruiting him. And we took down the Jayhawks last season, so this feels like a good opponent for us to put our visit week against. Before we can take them on, though, we have to go on the road to Arizona State. Checking in on their overall, they are a 76. But I just have to get out of the habit of checking that pointless rating. If you compare our roster to what they have, their roster is a little bit better, with Sam Levitt being a 94 overall. They clearly had the better quarterback in this matchup, so I'm not surprised they beat us 34-18. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not what really matters. What matters is if we can take down the Jayhawks. They might have started this season 1-3, but on paper, everybody's saying this is a very even matchup, so we're probably gonna have a tough game. Well, I literally take that back. The defensive back room that we spent only an off-season building has done an incredible job. And so Kansas hasn't gotten onto the board once. It's 24-0, and we're just gonna try and run out the rest of this clock against them. We weren't completely able to do that. They did get onto the board, but so did we again. Marion Peterson had over 100 rushing yards, 157, and 3 tutties to be specific. It's a big game out of the transfer, but unless our brand exposure rises, he's going to want to transfer out, even though he could be so much better. If he ends up being a 1-year rental, though, at least he positively contributed to this program, getting us to sign 5-star edge Cortez Bettis. We can only hop into one more game this season, though, and I think we got a long year ahead of us. We're about to face off against Iowa State, and then the week after, we have to go and play Auburn, so I'm expecting back-to-back losses. As long as we continue to sign some more cornerbacks along the way, though, I'll be happy, which is what we've done. We're actually sitting at 4-2, which is pretty impressive. We dropped 54 points on the Cyclones' head. Auburn's just ranked number 1, and they blew us out. Basically, every single team that is left on our schedule is ranked in the Big 12 as well, so that's not great. For a little bit of a recruiting update, though, we have 2 4-star gyms that are coming on a visit this week against Texas Tech. They're most likely going to steal halfback Steven Curl from us, so I'd appreciate if we could take them down down in this matchup. Only problem is going into this rivalry, they're number 18 in the country, sitting at 6-1. If we're going to take down the Red Raiders, we're going to have to play some pretty good football. And look at the way we've started this game. We scored 7 points. We're going for another 7. I absolutely do not mind going for it on 4th and 1 if we're going to take an aggressive route in this game. Michael Hawkins Jr. somehow escaped the pressure. And one thing I'm not too familiar with is the receivers that we have on this team. But I guess I'm more familiar with the guys we're throwing the ball straight to, some of the linebackers on Texas Tech. Michael Hawkins Jr. had to learn in this game that he can't just sit there throwing the ball over linebackers' heads. We're not going to pick up this 3rd and 9. But I'm willing to go for it, and we just got insta-shedded. After giving up another touchdown, we're just chasing a comeback, though it looks like Lopez is going to get open and reach over the line. So now we have the 2-point conversion coming up, and we don't need to go for it here, but I thought we might as well try and fail. Wait, I thought we scored a touchdown. That was not the 2-point conversion. We were just on the 1-yard line. This is the touchdown. That gives me a chance to know what to not run for our 2-point conversion. We're going to try and throw it, but we don't have to throw it if they don't set a QB spot. The hard part about being in this position, though, is with a few minutes left, they could pass or they could run. And I honestly thought that was it for us. They've handed it off on 3rd and 8, but we get the stop. With about 3 minutes left to still get on the board in this game, we got all the time that we need to pull off the comeback. Marion Peterson brings it in. I'm even comfortable with mixing in some RPOs. We got the bubble on this play, just no one out there in the flat. Matt Rail Lopez has been pretty effective in the slot for us. We're going to find that space, but we couldn't get free. We're trying to keep the clock running. The tight end screen is going to do it. This is a big 3rd and 1, though. We've seen that defensive line shed, but we can bounce back. Now the time is running down a little bit farther than I would have liked. There's only 10 seconds left on the clock when we snap this ball. But Ford is there to catch it, take it in, and with an extra point, we're pulling off this win. They're going to sit here trying to ice us, but this is an extra point. After there was not much hope that we could win, we have come back and done it. I really like how Season 2 is setting up for Oklahoma State. We could still finish out the year super strong, but I'm pretty sure that's the last game I'm able to hop into this year. We signed 2 gyms at the top of our board. For Brock, we have jumped out to a big lead. We're going to close that out in another week. You can see everything is starting to come together a little bit better, but there's only so many more 3-stars I can go after from Oklahoma and Texas, and as you'll see, brand exposure is the deal breaker on 2 of these linemen, which aren't going to help us at all because that will not raise higher than a B or a B+. It's a very difficult grade to move, and for a lot of these grades that are sitting at a B, it caps out how good players can get at Oklahoma State. I think by the time they crack 84 overall, they're going to want to transfer out of here, which is not good for us. And I figured of all the teams left on our schedule that I know we can probably beat, winning at Houston was not one I was worried about, but they just took us down by 18 points, and we still have these 4 games left where everyone is 5-3 or better. All I can do is simulate. We're currently sitting at number 6 in the Big 12. Technically, we're not out of the running for a spot in the conference championship. It's just most likely that after this week, we're going to find out we don't stand a chance. Just seeing how their sophomore quarterback Blake Barnett performed, you're probably saying there's no shot that we won this game. But we were able to pull it out in an overtime thriller, 43-41. And so no matter what happens in these final 3 matchups, we are bowl eligible. Well, in those final 3 games, we went 1-2, but we still finished 7-5. That is something I think we should be proud of, though next season, I would like to see us get closer to 10 wins. In my opinion, that's pretty feasible. We got UAB in the Scooters Coffee Bowl. I actually know of one of those down the street here in Louisville. I did not know they had it like that for them to sponsor a bowl game, but it must be like a national chain or something. As you can see, we closed out on basically every prospect besides Stephen Curl. He did choose Texas Tech, even though we beat them. And outside of Carlos Colon having star development, which I love for a 3-star corner, and then 3-star corner Quincy Hakeem having elite development, everybody else on this team was either normal or impact. Impact is a lot better than normal, though, I'll tell you that. So to have that on our 5-star edge this time around feels a lot better. Jalen Elder is the receiver that we're going to need to stop, but look at that stat line. This is their best receiver. If we somehow blew this game to the Blazers, I'd actually be extremely let down. And like everybody expected, there was nothing for us to worry about against UAB. Michael Hawkins Jr. has been trying to have some fun back here in the pocket at the very end, but he's just going to go down. All that lets me know is when we get to the offseason this year, we are rooting for his speed to upgrade since his accuracy can't get much higher. And we can't catch that. Oh well, we still won the Scooters Coffee Bowl by 21 points. They scored their only touchdown at the very end. Apparently in this playthrough, Clemson is just going to be elite. Dabo Swinney has found his way again because they've won another national title. So we'll see if they go for the 3-peat next year. Michael Hawkins Jr. had twice as many touchdowns as interceptions. That is already doubling the ratio that we had last year. I like to see that. Marion Peterson rushing for 17 touchdowns. but he wants to transfer due to brand exposure. That is why I recruited guys like true freshman Dante Hedgie, who was our leading receiver with 9 touchdowns, 680 yards. He cares about proximity to home, so he's not just going to leave. There's a lot of players on this team that will, though, and I don't think we're going to have anybody in our running back room besides the guys we've recruited and maybe one player. What we can try to do is convince some of them to come back, but ultimately, we're going to fail when the chances are extremely low. We're going to try and get Haas Henji to come back as well. No luck. We didn't end up getting Nick Song back either. The former 5-star with normal development. I just forgot he cared about playing time, and I didn't get him on the field unless that's a new deal breaker. This is a major oversight. I don't care that we just signed another 5-star edge. We could have had 2 5-star edges here at Oklahoma State. You pair all those losses with the fact that we just lost a lot of our cornerbacks and like 10 other players to graduation, this team might take a hit. But it really just depends how we do during this transfer portal period, and we could recruit Ricky Hunt Jr. back to Oklahoma State if we wanted. We can also go after a Marion Peterson again, so that's what we're going to do. Micah Tease, you've seen me get him in previous rebuilds. He'd be a great pull from the state of Oklahoma. The rest of the transfers on here are basically all from Texas, and there weren't as many high-profile names on our board this year, so I haven't felt as much pressure since we're going to run away with most battles. Well, outside of North Texas beating us out for a right tackle and then LSU taking away a strong safety from us, CJ Johnson, this is what we're left with. 33 players in a class. It's not going to be rated as highly as our last one, coming in at number 22, but we still did it through just Oklahoma and Texas, so I'm considering a top 25 class pretty impressive still. Here's where we have like one decision to make during position changes that could be considered a little bit difficult. We have a contact seeker running back, only 85 speed. I don't think we need more edges, so I am just going to leave him there. But if he stays this slow, I'd much rather just continue to find the running backs that are going to play for us through the portal. Currently, if we still plan on going down this strategist pathway, we need to win 3 more bowl games in order for this to unlock. But I think with this current roster, we're going to be able to get one step closer as long as we don't get a crazy bowl opponent this year, because there is no way that with a better team, we don't make it back to a bowl game. Now, freshman quarterback Ben DeCastro took some interesting strides forward. He's only 3 overalls behind Michael Hawkins Jr., who didn't gain a single overall, but his accuracy is maxed out. His quickness, not so much. I just don't want the 4-star quarterback Ben DeCastro that we recruited a year ago to transfer if he doesn't get playing time this season, since he could also become really good. It puts us in an interesting spot, that's for sure. We can't control all of the training result upgrades either, which means there's going to be more players to transfer than other rebuilds. But some of those could be within our control, like Rashard Winton just came in as a freshman. He's demanding playing time, but he has normal development, so I'm not even sure how much I want to give it to him. That normal dev is the case for every receiver that we've gotten besides Kobe Foreman, though, and it's not good because those young guys need to progress more. Kobe Foreman cares about brand exposure, so even though he has the potential to be one of the best, he's going to leave. That is exactly why I want to get down strategist to tier 3 as soon as possible. As you can see, the Bedlam series is back. We're going to be going to Oklahoma this year. And when it comes to the prospects from our state that are a 4-star or higher, there's not very many to choose from. We have to recruit guys that we know that we can retain, so Gabe Rogan is just going to be overlooked. But if we look at Texas, I'm sure there's plenty of other options that we can choose from. Another thing that's starting to become a big problem for us is I'm recruiting guys that care about conference prestige, but the Big 12's conference prestige has dropped down to a B+. I think this is the least excited I've been about a recruiting class so far, but as you can see, I'm looking at 3-star receivers from Texas, and they're not very good. They're not fast. Even a speedster only came in with 85, so these are the best 2 I could find. And then outside of him, we got a 3-star right tackle. We got some 4-stars up on our board that we have a chance at getting. Maybe we even get a 5-star for a 3rd straight year, but I'm not excited, like I was saying. There's not some stud in there that I think is going to change the program, but sometimes those are the classes that have the best players that come through. We're just going to sim straight to the Bedlam series. Tulsa is no longer a team that we should be concerned about as we blew them out 41-7. This is the one that counts though, and what I think is really neat is it says, "Don't I know you?" OK states Hawkins Jr. says there's extra motivation against his former team in this week's game. So at least they can reference back to a player's former team as he came from the Sooners and now he's looking to take them down. This could be the ultimate revenge story for Michael Hawkins Jr. And I'm not sure which team decided to call off the Bedlam series, but if it was the Sooners, I'm starting to see why. We've been able to jump off to a 34-0 start, and the Sooners got so desperate to just put some points on the board to avoid full embarrassment that they're kicking a field goal instead of trying to win at the end. It is safe to say that the Bedlam is gonna belong to Oklahoma State for the time being, but we have to play them again next year. And when you compare what Damon Williams Jr. did versus what Michael Hawkins Jr. did, I think it is clear who the better QB is. I just know the Sooners are really missing him right now. I think we can continue our winning streak against the Mountaineers. They've been a big letdown to their fans spans for a few seasons. Maybe even the last decade. On the recruiting front, Texas is in front of us on multiple players. I should probably just give up on these tackles, but I was trying to sway to see if that could get us back into the battle. I think we're going to pull out of him. And then we're going to pull into someone like Rico Dove, who we could get on a visit in week 4 and try our best to just close this out. We had to beat West Virginia first, though, and that's exactly what we did. 41-20. Our schedule is looking really easy. There's no one that's currently ranked on it, so we could legitimately just walk through every team. I highly doubt that that's how it pans out, because it never pans out the way you want it to. But I could see this team reaching 9 or 10 wins this season, and we've decided to play against 3-0 Arizona. I really feel like there's not anybody on this team that is just a standout guy. But we have a lot of solid players, and I feel like with all of them combined, it makes for a good team. We just went up 21-3 on the Wildcats, and by the end of this game, we'd win by 28 points. It's the reason we got our first commit this season, Rico Dove, and another big week for visits is coming up against the Horned Frogs, but if I hop into this game, I can't play any other game this season, so we have to sim. Well, I knew at some point we weren't just going to win forever, but I didn't imagine us getting 45 points dropped on our head. They were able to score 42 in the second half, and it's going to be the reason a lot of defensive players want to reconsider coming to Oklahoma State. It's a pretty frustrating result to see, since we had the schedule for us to win so many games and get into the playoffs. Now, as I simulate through the weeks, I don't really know what to expect. Baylor beat us, but apparently they're ranked now, so it wasn't a terrible loss for us. Iowa State is number 19, so that is one chance for us to get a quality win. If we don't win every one of our final 5 games, though, it's for certain that we're not going to be a playoff team. I'm not sure that's what I was expecting out of some of these guys anyway. I'm just hoping that we can close out a couple more of these battles. Duke just jumped up with a week 8 visit. Maybe in week 9 our visit against North Texas is going to help us out. We have more 3 stars than ever before on our board, and I think we can afford to just simulate another few weeks, since I want to play the game against the Cyclones, where hopefully we can take down a ranked team. Well, I made the mistake of simming to week 13 instead of 12. I thought we played Iowa State in week 13. We ended up beating them in that game, but BYU beat us the week before, so we're at 8-3, but we're ranked. We just squeezed inside the top 25. There's not a chance for us to get to the conference championship, so there's not really a point to play against Kansas now. But I'm hoping that we come out on top, because that means we'd at least finish this season 9-3 and inside the top 25. I might regret leaving this one up to sim, but I'm going to trust the roster we've built. And this might be the best game that we've collectively played as an offense. We dropped 59 points on the Jayhawks. We had almost 500 total yards of offense. We've even somehow jumped into first place for the 5-star strong safety, despite the fact that our hard sell is not good. I don't know how we jumped into first place over Colorado, but I'm going to take it because Duke beat us out for this defensive back. And you might also notice there's a lot of 3 stars on our board that are at the top 3 stage that we haven't closed out on, but no one else was competing with us for these players, so I think we're going to win those battles without having to put hours there, which has allowed us to go after even more guys. For the Heisman Trophy winner, that one is going to go to Alabama quarterback Keelan Russell. He has stayed there, did not transfer. We have gotten North Texas in the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. We've gotten the same bowl that we played in last year, and this is a team that we already beat during the regular season. For finishing 5th in the Big 12, though, I actually really appreciate a lower overall bowl opponent. I can guarantee there were tougher matchups out there that we could have got stuck with, but we did. And as we should run away with this game, it's going to help us unlock the strategist coach tree that we've been wanting to go down. After it seemed like this was just going to be a great win for us, North Texas played really well defensively. They've held us to 0 points in the second half, and they are about to score a touchdown that would tie things up. In fact, I'm so desperate, we're just going to send in a blitz here where he got that ball out. I'm sorry, but there's no way he got that ball out at all. We're going to send in another blitz. That makes it 4th and 12. All we have to do is watch over the middle, and he throws up a 50-50 ball that's caught. There's no way North Texas does this. We have to set a quarterback spy in case he wants to scramble. We're watching. We're stuck. Come on. Come on. We locked up. This was looking like an awful choke job, but we recovered the onside kick. We got it. The Scooters Coffee Bowl ended up being a really interesting finish. As long as we get the win, that's all that we need. And when it comes to the number of players that are still going to want to transfer by the end of the season, we are down to just 4. I thought Rashard Winton was going to get some good opportunities, but he did not, even though he was the 5th wide receiver on our depth chart. If we look at some of our numbers from this year, 11 touchdowns to Matrell Lopez and Kobe Foreman. Kobe Foreman wants to leave, though. The one bright receiver receiver. It is really frustrating to see. Amarian Peterson's a senior. Doesn't matter if his deal breaker's being met. Both him and Ricky Hunt Jr. carried our backfield. Don't sleep on Michael Hawkins Jr. though. He had 480 yards on the ground, 4 touchdowns, and then through the air, he had another 32 touchdowns with 8 interceptions. That is a very solid season from him. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these playoff teams tried to get him, but I don't think he's going to put his name in the portal. And we have enough persuasions to try and convince every one of these players to return. How many are we going to be successful on? Probably not many. Rodney Bimage Jr. would at least help out our cornerback room. He has decided to stay, so the senior will be back. And then for Rashard Winton, he's not been persuaded. You know, I just realized that we're losing another 5-star edge due to playing time. Their deal breaker changes because they're 5 stars over to playing time if they don't get on the field immediately. That's what it is, because it was not his deal breaker at the beginning of the year. I can't believe the amount of resources we've dumped into those 2 5-stars for them to just pivot anyway. They don't want to stay at Oklahoma State, so it's not worth going after 5 stars. You see all of these seniors graduating. I want to see players get drafted. Once we start finding prospects that care about pro potential, it's a lot easier to maintain some of the guys on this team. Micah Tease went in the 5th round, but he is now gone. I'm pretty sure all those players came through the portal last year. We're going to try and get Nate Roberts, though I don't think we can enter that battle late, at least to the point where we have enough success to get him. There is one receiver, though, Jacaden Ferguson, that is interested from Texas in coming to our school. Then we have this guy off of the edge, Nigel Smith II, too, and Kobe Foreman. Kobe Foreman could return after entering his name in the portal. I guess he's already getting some cold feet on that. You know, when it came to players in the transfer portal, Texas had a lot better to offer than Oklahoma. That's where most of our transfer prospects are coming from, besides these 3. That state has just been carrying this rebuild, and I think we're locked in to win out on the 5-star strong safety. Whenever you get this bug, I think you just want to leave the player on your board, and then eventually you win. Now, unfortunately, for tight end Nate Roberts, by week 3 of the transfer portal, there are like 7 different hard sells he could have because we know his deal breaker's playing time, so we're just gonna have to take a guess. It didn't end up being correct, but I feel like if we were to guess it correctly this week and then also put him on a visit, we could still beat out Michigan. Until I click through like another 15 signings, we won't know the answer on whether or not we were able to get him. But it turns out that we did. We have gotten Nate Roberts. Now, we lost to LSU for both of these edges. I don't know how they were able to edge us out for both of them, but they did. Baylor took away this cornerback because they had a week 4 visit. Rice took away this guard because they had a week 4 visit. So week 4 visits in the transfer portal are extremely powerful. Of all the players that we signed, a couple 3 stars had star development, and then the 5-star strong safety did as well, who I was right about. We just had to leave him on our board, and now we have somebody with 94 speed that can grow with the program. That should raise the ranking of our recruiting class inside the top 25, which it has done. Once again, you can just see everybody coming from Oklahoma and Texas. We are doing it this way the rest of the video like planned. There are no shortcuts being taken, and I kind of feel bad for junior tight end Connor Westbrook. We've recruited him in season 1, and he has just been waiting for his chance to shine, but with our new signing, he's gonna have to wait another year. If I could just control the training results, he'd be a 90 overall already. I had no idea who Britton Baldridge was either, but he's gotten up to star development, and he must be somebody that we've recruited. He is now an 85 overall defensive tackle for us. Nate Roberts is our highest overall player. And I think after Michael Hawkins Jr. finishes out his senior season, Ben DeCastro is going to stick around because it seems like he knows that he'll be the starter next year due to the playing time deal breaker. We also have a more impressive receiving core than you might have expected with Oklahoma State, just based off of how we had been recruiting. Because Kobe Foreman returned, he did not end up transferring at the end of the day. Our tight ends are solid. And for the very first time, our roster size is over the limit, so we've been over recruiting. We currently have 31 freshmen to just 12 seniors, so we can start to recruit a lot less players, try and only get 4 stars or better, unless it's through the transfer portal. And I think utilizing red shirts could be very effective for us. Like, I don't think Dante Hedgie or our other 80 overall receiver, DeMarco Fayad, are going to get on the field that much, and they care about proximity to home. We might as well redshirt them for another year. I'm also realizing we might just be better off abandoning my plan to go down this strategist tree, because it's going to take us another 2 seasons to win a couple more bowl games. But by the time we do that, who knows how successful we could have been if we just had our stats boosted for our key positions a little bit longer. So what I'm doing is I'm spending all 146 coach points in the tactician tree right now. Hopefully by the end of the year, the receiver one and the running back one can also be maxed out. And to start this season, we're going to be going up against Oklahoma, playing the Bedlam again. After that, we got ranked Colorado on our schedule, but there's no other ranked teams. When it comes to some of the players we're pursuing recruiting-wise, these are the only 2 gems on our board. This one's a gritty receiver from Oklahoma, but he only has 83 speed, so he's not exactly someone I really want to get. 5-star corner, we always have to have a 5-star on on our board as well. That's basically the extent of it. No 3-stars this year. I feel like we don't need to get that many new guys on this team. We just have to be able to retain players. We don't really have much of a plan for retaining players anymore now that we're not going down the strategist pipeline, which means all we can do is win, win, and win. Last season, we embarrassed Oklahoma, so this year, they've been trying to get their revenge. They've played pretty well. Just the fact that we couldn't get the first down there, I'm not loving it, but we are going to settle for a field goal to take a 1-point lead. I'm trying to get them off of the field on this 3rd and 6. We've sent in a blitz, and we make the tackle. But now I've called a timeout because I'm not sure if they're going to go for it. That was the smart move. For whatever reason, if there's still about a few minutes left, the computer will punt it back to you like they're going to get it back. And technically they could, but most likely we're just going to be able to run out the rest of this clock. John Denman's our backup junior running back, but he's been out here for the last few carries and he's not going anywhere. The Sooners would get us to a 3rd and 8, but if we can just pick up the first down, that'll end the game, and that's what we've done. Never mind, there was an injury timeout. EA just loves to give injury timeouts out at the end of games, which means we need another. My guess, though, is they're just going to sell out for the run, and it didn't matter. It is now 3rd and 5. The Sooners could still get their stop, but we make a throw with the dude in our face. Denman comes down with it, and John ends the game. The fact that Michael Hawkins Jr. made that throw under pressure is impressive. I don't care how short and close of a pass it was. I've seen so many quarterbacks, including Alexander Bean on this game, just miss that throw. Throw under pressure is a very important stat, and his is clearly high enough. We're going to get to play against Tulsa in an FCS school, which means we should be able to skip over both of those weeks. And for Cartarius Brown to have this type of a performance against the Golden Hurricanes, I'm just really glad that we got him in the transfer portal. We actually beat Tulsa by so much more than the FCS school, 66-10. And the best part about the junior receiver is if he stays for another season, you can see his deal breaker right now. I'm not sure if he's going to, but if he stays for another season, he's going to get so much better. When it comes to recruiting, you're going to see that we're sitting in 2nd place for multiple prospects already. I'm not sure how many of these guys that we're going to actually sign. I think we got to get them on visits pretty soon. That has been our strategy most seasons, and we haven't had a visit until this one. The first game I can schedule these players for is week 7 against Texas Tech, but unfortunately, by the time that game comes, I feel like we're going to lose out on these battles already. Like Ohio State's going to win on the 5-star. When it comes to the things that we can control, though, what is that? How we perform in the games we hop into. This one at number 23, Colorado. And it's a big one for us because I think it could shoot us up inside the top 10 as long as we come out on top. Now, I'm pretty curious to compare what our best players look like versus theirs. I'd say things are pretty even, but we do have a better team. Just by a little bit, and that gives us a really great opportunity to actually win the Big 12 this year. The Buffaloes have been one of the better teams in it, so if that's what their roster looks like, then other teams are going to be far worse. This is the year that Michael Hawkins Jr. has had some really rough showings, though, our offense in general. It's currently 4th and 9, where if we don't pick this up, then the game is over. We're playmakering, and we're hoping for a big throw, but they're going to swat it. It's just been a rough day, and they hand this ball off. They cut up the middle. They're going to be just a few yards away. We can stop the run here, though, and hold them to a field goal. We just got to make this tackle. And that's when they've decided that they're going to go for it. We can't guard everything underneath. We can swat that away, though. I don't know how they managed to catch that. It looked like we were going to get to that ball first. But this is just inexcusable. For us to only have 10 points with a senior quarterback that's supposed to be having his best season yet, we've cleared out all the space for Ferguson to run to the 17. I just don't know what was wrong with this team for the first 3 quarters of this game. Not a good throw. We will see what we have on 2nd and 10. The instant rollout, letting Michael Hawkins Jr. just run, worked out. But we have been left with 3 plays to stop them, and this first run goes nowhere. We're just trying to create as much chaos as we can in here, though they decide to throw the ball. You all saw how we were playing defense there. That could have been it for us. Hopefully our zones do their job. We're just going to watch over on this side of the field, and I left him. I left him because I thought we could make the tackle in time, which we did. That came down to a 4th and inches. But they are now going to punt the ball back to us. All we need is a field goal. I can't believe that we just got that lucky. Ultimately, I made a bad decision there to take away our flag. But now we basically got this win in the bag. I'm feeling pretty confident as we roll out and throw it to the ground. We might even have a big play. That's something we have not had in this rebuild yet, is a big deep ball. Our running back was supposed to be out on a route. I don't see him anywhere. Can Michael Hawkins Jr. escape this? If Michael Hawkins Jr. escapes this, oh no. He ran out of stamina when all those defensive linemen didn't. Now we have a big play that we got to pick up. That's not open. It's not open. I blew this game. I definitely blew this game. As long as we can get Ferguson on a slant, maybe we can pick up this 4th down. It looks like he can run under that. Come on. We got enough. We got enough. This has been a roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster because there have been so many close calls, but now we're in field goal range. And with no timeouts left, we do need to be a little bit careful. You can see how much time is left on the clock. We can't really run inbounds here. We got to get out. Of course, Colorado is going to try and ice us. We'll see if that makes a difference. We now have a junior kicker that we're leaning on that bar. It's shaking a little bit. No, I've sold it. I sold. He shouldn't miss this badly. Come on. After all of that, that is how we lose this game, off of a kick. I normally don't miss those either. I was just so confident and it cost us. That is definitely going to affect the rest of our season. I think it's time that we just start to remove some of these guys from our board that we're obviously not winning. I've scheduled all 12 prospects for a visit and I have all of their hard sells selected, so there's not much more I can do for any of those guys. That's why I decided to just sim a few weeks, see where this team is sitting. I've already clicked through now 5 commits on 4 stars. This is going to make it 6. So I thought we'd be doing very well, but instead we are 3-4, 0-4 in Big 12 play, 14th in the conference. There are numerous players that want to transfer for all sorts of different reasons, and I can't blame them. You want to know what the problem is, though? I went over to our depth chart, and it's Ben DeCastro starting instead of Michael Hawkins Jr. He got injured against TCU, which was the game after Colorado, and hasn't played since, and we've just lost every game since then. So this has been the difference maker. He might be back in a few weeks, but by then this season's already going to be over. I can't believe how much we're falling off this quickly. I genuinely believe that Ben DeCastro was the future of this team as well. I mean, his accuracy, it could be better, but it's not like it's the worst in the world. I don't understand why he's struggling so much. I am very concerned for this team. I'm actually surprised that we've been able to get as many commitments as we have with the way that we're currently playing, but that's going to do it for this class. We're only going to sign these 8 4-stars. If we can't turn this year around, I'm not even sure what the transfer portal period is going to look like for us, but what we're going to do is hop into this game against the Mountaineers. We will have to sim the rest of the season after that, but I'm just hoping that we can get back on track because typically we can beat West Virginia. You know, with how this game has gone, it doesn't make up for what we've done the rest of the year, but I am feeling a little bit better. The fact that we're about to win 34-0 is embarrassing for them. We have found our rhythm again. Hopefully we can just close out this season with some more success, at least make it to a bowl. And look at this defensive performance from Rodney Bimage Jr. That is the cornerback that we convinced to stay for his senior season, and I am really just hoping that as we get to the end of this year, we can play a lot better. That is exactly how things unfolded. You can tell when Michael Hawkins Jr. came back because we started to win games by like 45-14. Up until Arizona State, though, we were carried by our backup. And it might not have been good enough for us to even finish anywhere but mid-table in the Big 12, but we are number 17 in the country, which is crazy to me. I seriously don't understand how we're sitting this high whenever there's a team in our conference like BYU with only 2 losses. Half of the losses that we have sitting almost 9 spots lower. Either way, it's some pretty good news, but unfortunately, Lopez wants to transfer out, which I don't get because I've been trying to get him playing time. We're going to lose basically all of our best receivers, and there's not really any way to avoid it, but we've been getting them back in the transfer portal, so that's just going to be my plan again. With this being our bowl game, I could see the Spartans putting up a pretty good fight. It's not just going to be as easy as some of the last ones have been, but Michael Hawkins Jr. is back for it. He's been playing for the last couple of weeks, and he can't be happy that he had to miss half of his senior year. I imagine he saw himself playing in the playoffs, not just going through a bowl game like this, but that's a big turnover for him to have right here. We're going to need somebody to catch the corner, and if nobody does, then they're going to tie things up at 7-7. That one mistake has been most of Michigan State's offense, but we haven't done much ourselves, which is why it is so crucial that we get them off of the field on 3rd and 10. Running back's not open underneath, and they have to throw it away. We're having to fight pretty hard to finish this season with a bowl win, but we almost got out of there. And I'm hoping all of the motioning we did before this play can throw off the Spartans. As they chase some of those guys down the field, we're just going to take off. You might not think we need too much more, but we saw what happened the last time we tried to settle from far for a field goal. I might not feel comfortable unless we just reach the end zone in the first place, though we have a chance here with Michael Hawkins to go down. Maybe we just play this safe, hit Nate Roberts real quick, let him turn up the field, and then center things up so we don't have to deal with missing another kick that we shouldn't, though that will do it. As the time runs out, I don't think Michigan State's going to ice us. They're just going to let us end it here. And should it have taken that much to win the Rate Bowl over Michigan State? I don't think so, but at the end of the day, we get a win again. Besides going 4-8 in year 1 of this rebuild, we've been building with some pretty successful seasons. And Joshua Bragg is going to come in with elite development. We've been looking for players like this. Finally, I think that's the second elite dev of this entire video. the small class could pay off. I'm not entirely sure where we're going to put the athlete yet, but I'm more impressed that no one on our staff has ever been poached. When it comes to our season stats, you'll see where Ben DeCastro struggles versus Michael Hawkins Jr. He is just completing 9% less of his passes. I'm not sure he runs the ball that well either. Our entire running game, though, this season was a major disappointment. John Denman could take over as the starter, but he doesn't like our playstyle, which is all because he didn't run the ball well. Oh well, though, I'm really just hoping that we don't have that many players that try to leave early for the NFL draft, because I think someone like tight end Nate Roberts might. But he's not going to. It's just guys like Kobe Foreman. They want to transfer again, so guess who we're going to be going after in the transfer portal? If we can't convince them to return, then we're just going to have to go all in. Not a single one of these players have wanted to come back so far. I don't really care for a 71 overall left guard. Then we have the guys that have graduated. I'm really hoping to see somebody like Kyron Duon get drafted. Same thing with Rodney Fields Jr. And that's exactly how it worked out. So maybe we can get a transfer running back that cares about pro potential. Currently, if I look through this roster, Ben DeCastro is going to be the only quarterback on our team next year. When it comes to our running backs, we're going to have 3 freshmen. And we could have a real issue whenever it comes to finding quarterbacks that we could have on our roster, because we can only recruit out of Oklahoma and Texas. Fortunately, there are multiple options, but we know that's never a guarantee, and Kobe Foreman is not willing to consider our school this time around, unfortunately. The same thing is true for Carterius Brown, another receiver that I thought we might be able to get back during the portal. We are going to be able to go back after running back John Denman, though. I'm not even sure how good he'll end up being for us. There's a lot of other running backs I have on our board. This is what we got so far. We'll see how it plays out the next couple of weeks. Even if we're not going to get both of these quarterbacks, it seems like we should get at least one, so I'm actually going to pull the hours off of Nicholas. I feel like that's a complete waste to pick a battle there, and then we'll see if any of these other guys have us locked out already, which they all do. Just to make sure that we have a third quarterback on our roster, I've had to put a 2-star, Karma Cox. He's from Texas, so he at least fits the recruiting restrictions. We're about to just continue advancing the weeks. I've been putting some hard sells on some of these guys. It's the same type of thing I have to do every transfer portal period. Coleman Patman committing. I think that's a big signing for us. I feel like I've gotten him in a previous rebuild, and he ended up being a pretty high overall safety. There are some of these battles, though, that are literally going to come down to the wire. I don't think we're going to get Tyree John just because he's going on a visit week 4 to Oklahoma. I also have been locked out of this kid, and then for some of these other battles, I'm not sure what's going on with the color here. I've seen us lose some battles at the very end of the transfer portal period where it looked like we just had the easiest win of all time, so that's why I was confused by the color on that. UCLA did take home the halfback, though, and then Oklahoma signed the 4-star right guard and this defensive tackle. We still brought in 26 players in this class, though, and Cole actually has star development, so that's really good news. We have found a quarterback of the future through the transfer portal. He might even be our starter this next season. I'm not sure what his overall is going to come in at. I can't believe that we didn't get a top 25 class, though. It feels like every year our recruiting class ranking is getting worse. Well, Cole is a 69 overall as a sophomore, so he is definitely not going to be starting over Ben DeCastro. This is before training results. I just can't imagine that he's going to get better. Then if we look over at our running back position, we brought John Denman back to school. He entered the portal. We got him to come back with his 94 speed. But what we could also do is just move DeMarco over as a gadget receiver to running back, where he's going to be an 89 overall. We actually redshirted DeMarco Fayad last season, and I haven't been doing any of these upgrades, but as a gadget receiver, he's still progressed enough in elusiveness to where he's going to be a better running back than any options we have. After getting through training results, this is what our roster's looking like. I'm seeing many players, though, that just didn't jump up much in overall, which is pretty disappointing. At least the former 5-star safety has jumped up a good bit. But I also feel like it might just be bugged because Ben DeCastro was not an 88 overall last season, and he could still get his accuracy better. I hope he sticks around for his senior year. I think the tactician stat boost that we currently have are really helping out this roster. We're just going to fully unlock it besides one tier. And I knew I probably over-recruited. I just didn't know that I did it by 10 players. It was kind of hard to figure out which guys I was going to cut, so I just have to really keep track of how many players might end up transferring. Currently, it says 6 will, and then another 16 want to graduate, so we need to have a class of 22 players, but no more than that. When it comes to our high school recruiting this year, I think what I've decided on is we're going to look for a quarterback. I found a gym in Denton Nielsen. We can get a quarterback here, and then for every other position, I want to get them through the transfer portal. Maybe for some 5-star like Eric Worthy, who is going to come in with 94 speed, he's worth it, especially since we're number 1 on his board and he's from Oklahoma. But even if we can put 50 hours into 14 different guys, I feel like most of my attention should be focused on our games and winning those matchups, not just bringing in more good players. We've reached the point where I would like to think that we have the best roster in the Big 12. It's now year 5. If we can't win with a 96 overall team, at least our conference, there's a problem. Could be a quarterback problem, could be a coaching problem, could be a roster problem. We gave up 24 points while only scoring 35 on UMass. It has me very worried to sim against Houston, but this is a game where we should be beating the Cougars, and then we can hop in against the Sooners afterwards. Ben DeCastro ended up throwing 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, where we won 41-38. I am really not liking how these first 2 games have gone, but he is who we are stuck with at quarterback, and we're just going to have to hope that at some point he figures out how to play a little bit better. The Bedlam's game of the week, college game days come here, so he's got a whole new spotlight on himself. And what we have done is we've driven down the field where we're going to score the first touchdown. I wasn't so sure how this game was going to open up, but that was just the start. Lots of points have been scored from that moment, and Nate Roberts dropped it. The stadium pulse is definitely affecting us here. I don't even know who we're throwing, but we have a senior kicker that we're trusting to get us back within a point, and I think he's going to shank this. Tyler Ancraw has not been the answer for us. He always misses big kicks. We could have a big play, though, and they just run under it. With this kid, of all kids, no, there's just no way. We had the separation and everything. Now we're down by 2 possessions. We got a lot of time back here. I mean, this is a lot of time. All for like a 15-yard gain. But I don't see us coming back from being down 14 points. Our defense is not where it needs to be this year. You also might notice who's out there at quarterback. I just noticed it. It's our transfer. I've actually had to learn the hard way that I cannot say Cole's last name in videos. It will make it to where I make absolutely no money off of this one at all. So as long as he is out there on the field, it is just Cole. And no. See, like, what do I say? How can I describe to you what is happening to us on this play? This kid's gonna get all the way to the 15 before he gets caught. The ball just magically deflects 10 yards back. He drops it at first, then he comes up with the catch. We lose our starting quarterback mid-game, and then we have to start a lower overall. I think we were just not supposed to win. That's my theory, at least. But Ben DeCastro is out for 4 weeks with a dislocated ankle. Injuries at the quarterback position have hurt us 2 years in a row now. Our best linebacker, Rodney Hood, is also going to be out for 2 weeks. And you know what? We're just making a quick change. We now have Cole Knight as our quarterback. He might be playing a big part in this rebuild. He's the kid that transferred in. Star dev, of course, his accuracy, it's capped out. His accuracy's not great now. But even when it gets better, it'll never be great for us. He's just going to have to take care of business the next few weeks. Then there's Denton Nielsen, who I was trying to bring in, but we have fallen down to 3rd place. Both Texas A&M and SMU already have him coming in on a visit. I've not guessed his hard sell because we didn't have enough info. What we'll do, though, is we'll make sure he comes in for a visit week 5 against Baylor. Now, unfortunately, a week later, I have some bad news. I guessed Denton Nielsen's hard sell incorrectly, which means we're not going to win this battle no matter what. He's also scheduled for a visit for something that he does not even have an interest in, playing style. And so even though Solomon Lester is not as good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him in week 6 whenever we take on Cincinnati. They're 1-2 at the moment. I just realized his dev trait has been revealed already, though. We can see the same thing with Denton Nielsen. It must be from our coordinator, where that's the special ability inside strategist. This actually stinks so much. We have a star dev 4-star quarterback that we're not going to land, and there it is, tier 4, mind reader, increased chance to learn dev trait of QBs while scouting. With the way that we just played against Tulsa, though, I feel like maybe the season's not lost. DeMarco Fayad had 5 touchdowns. We won 80-7, and we're about to go through back-to-back visit weeks where I'm actually scared to see what happens, so we're just going to sim over both of them. Either recruits are about to flood in, or our season is going to be over. Eric Worthy, the 5-star corner, is committed. That is a very good start, but I am not going to see our 4-star QB. We did get Solomon Lester, but he had normal development. He is from Oklahoma. He just doesn't excite me as much. Gio Pace, that's another 5-star commit that we've gotten. And we've gotten our 3rd 5-star out of Daniel, too. We lost 3 battles along the way, but I think it's safe to say the future of Oklahoma State's getting even better. I just wish we could have gotten Denton Nielsen. That one is going to sting, especially if we need a quarterback desperately in the future. We might not, though, because we've been able to beat Baylor. We've been able to beat Cincinnati, and I think we're going to hop in against UCF before we go ahead and have to sim some more games. The reason for that is Ben DeCastro is out for 1 more week before we reach our bye. I just want to make sure that we don't drop a game that we should. Assuming we take down the Knights, there are playoff hopes for this team still. We're headed to the bounce house where it looks like there isn't going to be any rain. I appreciate that. But talk about a slow offensive day. So much so, we've only scored 10 points. We have no choice but to go for it on a 4th and 8. We'll see if anybody can get open here. It's looking like we might just need to scramble. And if we can't scramble, we're going to have to set our feet Throw it up to Nate Roberts. He doesn't bring it in, though. It's now 3rd and 6, where we're sending our blitz. And we got to knock that out. We do. This team does not look good. This team does not look like a national championship contender. We'll see what Cole Knight can do in the final 2 minutes, but I have a feeling we're going to lose. The stadium pulse is starting to get to him. We couldn't even make the hot routes out there that we wanted. And do you know what the hardest part about this rebuild has been? Typically, I just get some super fast kid that I can throw everything up to. We don't have that here. I haven't been able to develop a speedster. Our receiving core is no good. It is genuinely bad. Maybe we get some help from Nate Roberts, but that's about it. I want to put him on a streak here. Dove has like 83 speed, so I'm literally not even going to look over in that direction for a completion. We can still hit our slant. This is bad. I think we're just going to go with the direct snap on 4th and 1. I don't trust throwing the football. We'll cut up field. We'll take this. I can't believe when we got Cole Knight in the portal, I thought that he was actually going to be the future of this team. If we can get some time back here, I'm going to be patient. And we're going to hit that route very late. He made a great throw. I can't believe it. I was not expecting that out of him. We've let the clock run down as we just hand this ball off. And we have to figure out how we're going to get into the end zone. 11 seconds on the clock. Halfback screen. It's not there. It's just not there at all. Go down. Okay, I know we can read the screen here, but what I'm most likely going to do is just hand this ball off because the blocks are there. And I thought about doing that for the 2-point conversion as well, but now that we came out in it, I want to audible. I want to end this game here. I don't want to go to overtime, which is why they just fooled me. Did we catch it? We caught it. I thought they were in man-to-man coverage or sending a blitz, just something. So I threw the slant. He was not open by the time it got there. But we have somehow come out on top of this game, and we are going to move to 6 and 1. I hope it's the last time Cole Knight sees the field. I think I'm going to make a playbook change as well. Florida State's hasn't been going as well for us. You know what we need? We need Dukes, because Dukes performs. Just the fact of the 10 players on our recruiting board as well, 4 of them are 5 stars. We could have 4 5 stars in this class. It's incredible to me. David Riggs is going to be coming on a visit whenever Iowa State comes to town in week 11. Ohio State's starting to catch up, but we've had a lead for him. We still have to go 2 more weeks before that, though, and this is when we got our starting quarterback returning. It looks like Ben DeCastro was able to lead us past Arizona 31-17, but our toughest game on our schedule left is going to be at number 10 Texas Tech. That's the final one I have to hop into during the regular season. It's not even a question. It's a huge game for us, and it's for who's going to be the last team in the Big 12 that is still undefeated in conference play. This is our chance to keep on rising up in the rankings as well. Currently, we're at 9. It's also a rivalry, so there's just all sorts of added things onto this matchup. There is so much that is on the line, but I just have to trust that we can give the Red Raiders a good game. Now, at one point, we went down 21-0, but we fought our way back into this one, and this is going to keep us alive as Nate Roberts brings it in. There's still 5 minutes left, and we are driving down the field looking to take a lead. It's been interesting figuring out this new playbook. There's definitely a lot of unique stuff in here that can lead to some huge gains. But Ben DeCastro has certainly not been at his best either. We've been using RPOs to try and get people open. Here, Nate Roberts is going to be able to take it in as he celebrates. Go dunk it on the ref as well. That should probably be some sort of penalty, but it's not. They're going to use an RPO in the final minute as they've been driving. But it's really not going to get them much. 3rd and 8 now. We just got to watch for any deep routes. Running back check down was there. I'm trying to bring in pressure, and he got that out. Okay, in this situation, I decided to send in a blitz. They dumped it out, and he just spun through us. I thought we had him. I clicked off because I assumed we would make the tackle, but we did. This season has just been full of all sorts of stuff. I'm not sure how we overcome this deficit with this little time left. That's a good start, but we still have 46 yards to go. Can we make it into that window? I feel like that was a little inaccurate there, and it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us. It might cost us a playoff spot. The worst part, too, is we could have just settled for a field goal, been a little bit more conservative, and gotten like 10 more yards. We would have had that there, but we got aggressive. Well, you know what? We didn't fall very far in the polls. We shouldn't have fallen that far. I'm glad that we actually didn't. Oklahoma is currently the #1 team in the country, by the way. That makes that loss feel a little bit better, but if we want to make it to our conference championship, we can't lose any of these final games I have to send. We were able to sign our 4th 5-star, David Riggs, so I would like to think we beat the Cyclones, which we did, 52-28, but we still have Kansas State and Kansas on the schedule. It's basically just 2 Kansas schools standing between us and our shot at winning a conference championship. And I almost feel like it's best that I'm not the one controlling our team because we have only lost games that I've hopped into. You know, when I see David Madden's had a game like this for the Wildcats, I get pretty nervous, but we ended up coming out on top in overtime 50-48. So it all comes down to one final week. I'm still not sure if we're going to be in the Big 12 Conference Championship just because we didn't play West Virginia, and I don't know what the tiebreaker is between us. But either way, if we just beat the Jayhawks, then we will be in the playoffs. Well, if the Conference Championship pop-up's coming up here, we must have taken them down. We're number 4 in the country, too. I feel like that's a big thing for us to take notice of. Michigan lost to Ohio State, so they fell. Oregon lost to Penn State. Up here, we got Ole Miss and Ohio State above both us and Texas Tech. And I wanted to see what the final Big 12 conference standings look like, but I've just realized that they are stuck at what they were a couple weeks ago now. This happens with the schedule sometimes. Apparently can happen with conference standings as well. You have to restart the whole game for it to fix. It's just an annoying bug I wish was fixed. I'll keep complaining about it until it is. As you can see, we reload the game, and this is how it actually unfolded. I still can't believe that we're ranked number 4, especially because I just realized that Oklahoma fell to 10-2 as they lost to Ole Miss and Alabama. I guess our 2 losses did come against top 10 programs this season. Let's just not lose to Texas Tech 2 times in a row. I'm hoping that this time our starting quarterback can at least stay healthy for the entire game. And so far things are going pretty well as we look to end this first quarter up 14-0. We're just going to have a drag underneath that gets wide open. We find Dove. And what I've figured out in this matchup is whenever you're patient, there's a real beauty to the veer and shoot offense. It is all a numbers game, so like there, we should have probably taken advantage of them better than we did. And ultimately, defenders just have a hard time sticking with everything we got out there. We're going to hit our drag on 4th down, and look at Enrique Dove hanging on. We're really just doing anything we can to spread them out and then just run it up the middle. I'm really hoping that this elite level of offense, assuming we can all stay healthy, can just transition right on over to the playoffs, where even one win would set up our program even better for the season after this. I took a closer look at the roster, and outside of these 5 players that want to transfer, about everybody's going to return. So if we paired that with a good transfer class, I'd love to see where this roster gets. Ohio State had a receiver that won the Heisman Trophy. We are going to have Nate Roberts winning the John Mackey Award, the best tight end in the country. But then guess what happened? We did not have a first-round playoff matchup because we're the number 1 team in the country. I don't know if I love how this worked out for us, though, because it seems like we're going to have to play Oklahoma in the quarterfinals. It is what it is, though. Just keep Ben DeCastro on the field. Obviously, his stats are not looking as good as we would like them, especially for a team that's made it this far. But DeMarco Fayad has carried this team on the ground. Then we have George Capps, who I think we just got in the transfer portal as our leading receiver. Enrique Dove is right below him. But Jacaden Ferguson, he's our highest overall at an 89. He was 4th in yards. We just haven't gotten him the ball as much as we should. We've gotten star dev on one of our 5 stars. We got elite dev on a receiver. That's what I love to see. I love to see elite developments. We got another one on Roberto Miles, an 86 speed tight end. So we're going to keep on producing good tight ends here, which we actually really needed because this is the one position we don't have an answer for after Connor Westbrook and Nate Roberts graduate. I can't believe Connor Westbrook never got to be our starter. He was one of my best signings in year 1, and he's just gotten almost no action on the field unless we can find a 2 tight end set. Look at these skill caps. He didn't even reach his full potential. I find that to be a pretty big letdown, but an even bigger letdown is the fact that the Sooners have made it to the quarterfinals. I've definitely not forgotten how they took us down earlier on this season. And even though we score 40 points per game, they score even more with 42 points per game. All I wanted to do was win 1 playoff game this year. If only we could beat Oklahoma the same way we did when we brought back the Bedlam for the first time in this series. It was like 34-0. That has obviously not been the case. But look who we just found in the end zone. We got Westbrook, so we are getting him a little bit more involved. That was a big RPO to put us back in front. We still need to get them off of the field on a 3rd down, though, and we have. I also think Nate Roberts is going to get really open with this RPO. It was a little bit risky, but plays like that have been the reason that we've gotten into this position in the first place. Ferguson runs under the ball. Ferguson was pressed, and you cannot press him. He's not even that fast. He just has some really good route running. And I am so pumped up because instead of going for it on a 4th and 4, the Sooners decided to settle for a long field goal. Now, at first glance, that might not seem like great news, but we have the ball back, and they didn't score a touchdown, so that's all I care about. I don't care it's a 1-possession game still. Ideally, they never touch the football again. I think we're going to be able to hit Westbrook again as well with this type of play. We got him underneath. No one's on him. Ben DeCastro currently is 289 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's had himself a day. But if we're going to close out this game, we will need 1 more first down. And look how open Nate Roberts is. All he has to do is run past the marker. That will do it. We ended up closing out the Cotton Bowl. We are moving on to the semifinals. We got a win against Oklahoma. That's all I could ask for. At one point this year, they were considered the best team in the country. I guess we are now. We're about to have that tested against number 4 Ole Miss. And on the other side of the bracket, we got Ohio State and Penn State. There is no looking ahead going on here, though. I know that the Rebels are going to give us a great fight. And the best part about this game is there's no pressure because I was thinking next year was our natty run. This team wasn't even built to compete for a championship this season, but that's what we've ended up doing anyways. And just with the way that we have started this game, it's looking like we're about to get there. The Rebels could lock down on the goal line here, but the way that we had them spread out with no spy, it's the easiest touchdown ever. And the longer this game goes on for, the more that all I care about is just making sure we stay in front by 14. Now, I will say, we've not run the ball as well as I would have liked in this game, but we're still getting in the end zone. And every time Ole Miss scored, we would continue to score, which has put us in this position up by 17 with 25 seconds left. They might have gotten that 4th and 1, but they never even got into the end zone, which is why we've won by 17. And all it takes is beating Penn State to bring that real national championship home. The Nittany Lions are coming off of a 28-20 win over Ohio State and the Heisman Trophy winner. And I think they're the highest overall team on paper that we've had to face this season. I still feel like Oklahoma was the best roster that we had to play, though. And how a drive like this finishes off is a really big deal, where they just don't have a spy. No one puts out spies for Ben. It's nice that he's not known for being a big runner, but what's not nice is the fact that we've only scored 14 points against Penn State. With 7 minutes left, we are going to have to fight if we want to win this natty. We're going to go straight back to Nate Roberts. And as long as they've been focusing on stopping him, we have struggled, but when they leave him open, we move the ball. Eventually, we'd have to take him out, but this drive here has been going really well for us. We're going to try and hit our slant. That was a pretty aggressive play to go for. We're going to have Dove underneath. And I really don't love this look on 3rd and 6. They're going to play the RPO, but we still catch it. Okay, 4th and 4. We got routes going to the same spot, but between the two of them, one of them should be good. And I think we're in a fine spot to just punch this one in and then lean on our defense. For the 2-point conversion, we just have hitch routes all out there on the field. I trust myself to make one of these reads between the zones. And ideally, Penn State doesn't get much on this 3rd and 8, and they decide to punt it back to us, being super passive. It looks like they're trying to run. We got him. We got him. I've even called a timeout. I need them to punt. This is beautiful. Now, does it make much logical sense for them to do that here? I don't think so. They're really trusting their defense, and we are going to get to trust our offense. If everyone holds their block, this could be a major, major play. But even if it wasn't, we'll see how they play the run here, and we can always throw it. This 3rd and 2 is everything. Let's see. Are we going to have it? Oh, it's so open here. Now, since there's 2.5 minutes left, that 1st down doesn't fully end the game. We still need one more, but we just got a little bit closer and we read that wrong. That was actually really bad. It's now 3rd and 9. We're going to roll out and we're just going to scramble. DeCastro, Ben, DeCastro ends it here. I had no faith in him. I thought there was no shot he was able to win us a natty, at least not this season. But he gets healthy and he leads us here, so Oklahoma State has a national championship. That was one of the most wild seasons I think I've experienced in one of these rebuilds. Emotions were all over the place, but we took it home, and I actually want to sim another season just to see how the roster we've built would do next year. Now, to lose our former 5-star strong safety due to conference prestige, that's pretty upsetting. Only one player we tried to convince to come back actually came back. We're going to be losing a couple really talented players. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to recruit anybody else, despite knowing the transfer portal could really help us out. Just seeing some of these training results, like Ben DeCastro getting up to a 90 overall, I'm not sure how much we needed the transfer portal. Our team's obviously going to be a 99 overall, and by the time we get to the end of this season, I'm expecting them to be in the playoffs. I'm literally just going to sim straight there, and we'll see how we do. You know, something almost went wrong with this team and season, though, if they finished the year at number 13. Apparently, we opened up the season with a 27-point loss to North Carolina, who finished 8-4, and then there was a loss to Colorado by 2 points to end the year. But the Big 12 was also just not as good. Texas Tech went 7-5, and we're the highest ranked team at 13. As long as we beat TCU, though, we will be in the playoffs. And it looks like we did, but our first round matchups against Ohio State. Just the fact this game went to overtime and it was this close lets you know how big of a difference it is when I sim everything versus when I can play some. And I basically know for a fact that simming to the very end of this season, there's no way we lift that natty a second time in a row. We did end up beating the Buckeyes 45-42, but then Miami just thrashed us in the next round. They didn't even win at all. Though Ben DeCastro threw for over 4,000 yards, he had a better season as a senior than he did as a junior, which is something you want to see I think DeMarco Fayad got injured though at some point because we had a much bigger season out of Quinshawn Carter at running back. That touchdown split is nuts. We also had 3 receivers over 1,000 yards. But that's going to do it for this Oklahoma State rebuild. I was just curious how the team I built would perform with another season since we ended up winning it sooner than I thought. And with Saturday right around the corner, you better hope that I'm not rebuilding your team next because that means they probably had a pretty bad weekend coming up.